first question is for the listeners who are not totally aware of what telehealth is. I'm assuming it's some kind of government initiative. Can you explain a little bit of how telehealth works?
Yes, great questions. And it certainly does require, for example, somebody to have access to technology to engage in telehealth. But again, the government's come on board with Medicare and they've actually said that you can provide consultation through the phone. So as long as someone's got access to a phone, they can receive service. But if they have got technology, they can actually do what we're doing now. We don't use Zoom because it's not a secure enough platform for the exchange of highly confidential medical information. But we do have our own sort of secure platform to do exactly what we're doing now. To claim rebates through Medicare, there does need to be a referral from either a referring GP or another specialist like a psychiatrist or a paediatrician. So it's not just as straightforward as I'm going to ring up and make that telehealth happen if you want to claim through Medicare. Certainly you don't need to have a referral to see a psychologist. You can claim through private health funds if you've got access to private health. But equally, there's a lot of people who don't have access to either of those or for certain reasons do not want to claim under those different options. And so they just receive telehealth as we are now or over the phone, and they pay for a fee privately rather than actually receiving any kind of rebate. So there's actually lots of options, Peter, and what we actually do, whether it's in the context of COVID-19 or otherwise, is that when people call up Lilley Place, our client service officers actually really work from the moment of first contact to set up the support and the services in a way that's best going to suit that individual and their circumstances, and therefore what are going to be the best claiming options for them. How do we minimise or keep out-of-pocket costs to the minimum? So we actually just tend to tailor that case by case rather than going, this is how everything works.
So that's a really solid overview of where things are and how you've been able to, I guess, pivot the business and bring on some more technology. Moving to the psychological side of things, obviously some people might have a barrier, which you mentioned about reaching out to try and get some help. And now more than ever, people are in kind of more uncertainty, or, you know, the goalposts keep moving, which can unsettle people. What are the types of things someone should be looking for to reach out? Or like, do you understand, like if someone's just feeling a little bit not themselves, is that the trigger that they should be reaching? Like at what point should someone seek some psychological help and advice?
Great question. I actually get asked that fairly regularly, Peter, and it's been asked of me pre-COVID-19, and I'm sure it will be asked in the future. And I think there's probably a couple of parts to that question. And the first is that for people that have got experience with mental health difficulties, either themselves or with a loved one, they kind of know what they need and they know how to access our services. And despite being in a global health crisis, those mental health difficulties aren't going to go away for them. So in a lot of respects for them, it's seeking treatment and support as usual. There is a whole nother part of our community here that has been impacted by COVID-19. And you talk about, for example, just the uncertainty and the anxiety that comes with the pandemic, that they may never ever have had any experience with mental health, either seeking support or a diagnosis, and genuinely are kind of actually going, do I need help? When do I need help? How do I get help? And it actually doesn't mean that they have a mental health disorder or that they're going to get one. It just means that at the moment there's a lot of symptoms and feelings and experiences for people who we actually say, Peter, are normal reactions to an abnormal event. And that a lot of those feelings doesn't mean that they're going crazy. It doesn't mean they're developing a mental health disorder, but they're certainly struggling, and so that it would be timely to get some support. The other thing we do say is that early intervention is better than cure. And so it's that idea of actually there's nothing wrong with getting some support to get through a crisis, this abnormal time, so that they can actually come out the other side and thrive, not just survive. And I often liken it a little bit to the safety warnings that comes on when we're flying, which is if you're flying with a young person, be sure to put your own oxygen mask on before you put theirs on. And I think whether you're a business owner or a leader or a manager or a teacher or a parent or a partner, you get the idea. It's basically anyone in the community. If you want to be able to help other people, we have to be sure that we're actually caring for ourselves at the moment and putting our own oxygen mask on first.